Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Resource Review. My name is Sarah Haley, and I am from the Employment Development Coordinator at Sarah Real Inc. Today we are joined by Nathan and Lori from CTRI, which is the Crisis and Trauma Resource Institute. Thank you for being here today, Nathan and Lori. So before we start with the questions, I would like to first ask if you can maybe explain what is the vision and mission of CTRI.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, thank you for giving us this opportunity as well, Sarah. We've been part of the CREL Resource Day for several years now. It's always been a great experience, being in person, meeting people, getting out there. So I'm glad to see you're flexible and nimble to try and do this virtually, and we're happy to be involved. So Crisis and Trauma Resource Institute, we're based in Winnipeg. We actually work nationally across the country and in the US too. Our mission, sort of our reason for existing is, inspiring learning and improving lives. And so when we do that through training, through providing virtual resources, we do consulting, we do a lot of that kind of work. And it's towards our vision. So our mission is inspiring training and improving lives, that way, that ripple effect. And what underpins that is that we envision a future where everyone is trauma informed. And so that underlies all of how we hire staff, how we put effort and direction towards which resources, how we set up our training days, how we organize our meetings around making sure we have safety, and we're considering that role of trauma in people's backstory. So that's sort of why we exist and what kind of guides a lot of our decision making too.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to jump right ahead to the first question. That is, what do you guys offer for people supporting someone with mental health issues? Any one of both of you, Lori or Nathan?
So what do you offer? No, go ahead, Lori.
How do we support someone who's offering help to another with mental health concerns?
Oh, correct, yeah.
So we offer trainings. We offer online trainings as a public workshop. People can register online. We also offer on-demand workshops for those people who may not be able to find the workshop that fits your schedule. We have on-demand webinars as well that people can purchase online. And we also have a number of free resources available on our website. And so we have many blog post options. There's a really good search engine in the blogs where you can just specify the topic that you're interested in and find a lot of resources there. We also are offering free COVID-19 related webinars on our free resources page. Along with every month we offer a complimentary on-demand workshop and an on-demand 1-hour webinar. So this month we're offering the anxiety as the on-demand workshop and the mental health concerns as the 1-hour webinar.
Great news. Okay, so I'll jump to the second question. Do you deliver anything for free?
Yeah, well, one of the things that's really important to us is trying to make the resources accessible. And obviously free is pretty accessible as long as you can get yourself there or find that link virtually. And so we work really hard on trying to offer free resources, and some of what Lori mentioned already, through our website. And particularly now when so many people are at home or working remotely, accessing things through the leisure of their computer seems pretty accessible. And so we have a whole page, as Lori said, devoted to free resources. Some are structured around specifically COVID-related topics around mental health, supporting children as they go back to school, what it means to be wearing a mask, all that kind of stuff. And those are available as a webinar, 1 hour. You can download it, you can watch it whenever you want. And then also a lot of written resources, blogs that people can just click on and grab that way, as well as full day workshops. And we have, as Lori mentioned, that's on, you can hold it up, Anxiety and Practical Intervention Strategies. This is the manual that goes with the training, and it's 4.5 hours long. And so it's for professionals. You can get your continuing education credits by watching, right? You can get a certificate at the end, and that's all free. So I would say it's tailored to professionals, frontline staff, but anybody with lived experience concerned around anxiety, personal experiences with anxiety, or helping a peer relative, there's a lot of good strategies that are part of that I think transfer in our, and I think one thing that's really important to us is we keep things very practical and applicable. So we don't have a lot of academic stuff. It's grounded in evidence-based practice, but it's really trying to be an experiential, practical, how can I bring this to my life right now?
Yeah.
So that governs how we put these workshops together.
That's very great information. Okay, so the third question is, do you do workplace assessments?
Sure, I can pick this up. Yeah, that's actually something we've just kind of gotten into a little more recently. And we have a leadership division and a sort of a crisis and trauma division. And both Lori and I work in the Crisis and Trauma Resource Institute and do primarily that kind of work. But we have a assessment on a climate assessment, so assessing your workplace. And you can do that all through our website. It takes a couple minutes and you get like an 8-page report. And again, that's also free. And on the CTRI side, we have a trauma-informed care workplace assessment. And again, as a leader or staff, you can kind of take that, and then we have a system that then provides a custom report for your answers. Again, that also takes just a couple minutes. And then we can follow that up and work with organizations and do consulting and assess how, maybe change, or how can you take steps towards becoming trauma-informed when you notice there are some areas that are a little weaker.
Yeah, definitely. And okay, so moving on, we also have another question. Can you customize materials, in-person workshop organizations to make it more trauma-informed?
Yes, we can. We are actually receiving quite a few requests lately about customizing our materials. And what we're doing right now is my job. I'll tell you a little bit of my job is I'm a training coordinator. And so my role is to connect with the client and learn more about what it is they're looking for in their training. And so a lot of people want something more specific. So I will give them information about the material itself, but once I kind of help them to work out the details of the logistics of the day, it's the trainer who will connect with the client to learn more about them. So typically with every private workshop we coordinate, the trainer will get to know the client personally, get to know the participants in the group, get to know their background, and they will plan the workshop with the group in mind. And so there's some very simple ways we can make it customized, just in terms of getting to know some scenarios that a group will encounter or the staff encounter. And those will be used throughout the day as practical learning experiences.
Great, awesome. Okay, and now we also have another question which says, can we do the training online?
Yeah, absolutely. And further to what Lori is saying, I mean, this is a big part of her role, I know, is working with those clients on what's the best fit for how this training can be delivered. And right in normal world, we were doing all of our training in person, and that's so crucial, is that relationship, being present. And so I don't want to ever lose sight of that by highlighting what we can do online, because we can, and we do right now 95% of our work virtually. And again, that keeps it accessible to remote communities, or if people are working, from their home office. And so as we've talked, I think a lot already, we have a lot of webinars that are recorded, or we do live virtual private workshops with organizations where they want to bring their staff together. And then there's also the team building kind of component of sharing and seeing staff that maybe you haven't seen as much. So absolutely, we do a lot of online workshops.
Great. And so we also have another one which says, are you trauma informed? How are your workshop organization trauma informed? The workshops.
Should I take this one?
Yeah.
Well, and Lori did a good job introducing herself too. I don't even know if I've said. So my name's Nathan Gerbrandt. You can see that I'm the managing director here, and I help curate our trauma-informed care workshop, our assessment. I'm actually in the process of writing with a couple other authors a little book on developing a trauma-informed care workplace. So we're going to hopefully publish that maybe around the turn of to 2021, December or January. And so that, again, as I said, in the opening, that's extremely important to us, and it informs so much about what we do. And it's the underlying pieces. We understand, we recognize trauma is pervasive in our world, and it has this ripple impact that can touch any of us, and we can become vulnerable to its impacts. And we don't always see those as evidently, but when we understand and know that that's there, then we can have more patience. We can shift judgment if there's some challenging behavior, and we can bring a lens of appreciating that some of this behavior might be from a trauma background. And we can be less judgmental, particularly now when we've all got this sort of cloud of COVID over us and impacting our relationships. We don't have as many outlets. It's even more important that we're appreciative and respectful of that. I like to think about our vision for the future of a world where everyone's trauma informed under actually a public health process, kind of like, again, like what's happening with all of our COVID regulations, that we're being respectful to others by wearing a mask, by giving physical distance, even though it may not, impact me right now, but I can take these little steps to prevent the spread of germs and disease. And much like we're learning to wear seatbelts was a public health approach, or washing our hands, and now we sort of take that for granted. I think if we bring a trauma-informed awareness to our interactions, and we speak about that publicly, we share about it openly, it'll improve how we consider behavior that might come from a trauma background. And I think one of our goals is offering a lot of free trauma resources so people can understand it. We can work to shift our attitudes, and then we can take practical steps within our workplaces and how we have set up our space so that it's safe, so that we focus on interactions and staff that highlight their strengths, and we don't label by deficit or problematic behavior as well too. And it's also about looking at sometimes righting kind of power imbalances as well. Yeah. So that's a crucial part about how we consider trauma within our workplace and how we teach about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And everything that is, as you said, with trauma and COVID-19, I feel so important. And the services you guys are providing is very exceptional. And I'm happy we're being informative of this. And we also have one more. Do your trainers travel to rural and go up north on the countryside?
I can handle that one because I would be helping to coordinate those details. Yes, in most circumstances, we have trainers that are very willing to go into northern communities. Willing, as long as there is no restrictions on travel. But yes, our trainers are very interested in traveling to other communities. They feel very honored to be invited into these communities to provide the training. So yes, we have done many trainings. Actually, behind me is the map that we actually pin a community when we have had a trainer facilitated training in that area. And our pins go way up north. So in most circumstances, yes, we do.
Awesome. One last question for you guys. What do you believe and what do your beliefs and visions for the work you do?
Laura, did you want to say something there? Sorry.
You can take it.
I mean, I think we've spoken about this. I mean, we have, in addition to being trauma informed, I mean, having a trauma informed approach for how we interact, how we hold meetings, even how we even have to let people go and consider the impact and the emotional reality there. Sometimes you have to engage in some of these work practices, and you can still, all of those keep from a trauma informed approach, we believe. So that's one. We also believe in a holistic understanding of health, that through our workshops, through treatment programs, that there are many paths that we follow along our journey, accessing our strength, utilizing our connections and resources, our culture. And as a helper, as a care provider, we need to respect those for each individual and not put my therapeutic approach needs to be this way for everybody. So it's unique for everybody. We have a high respect also for cultural diversity. So that also plays into kind of our strength areas, and respecting that I might not always understand, but I can have cultural humility behind maybe learning about and wondering about different cultural practices. Reconciliation is extremely important to us as well. And so we feel as an individual and as an organization that we have a responsibility towards reconciliation, the 94 calls to action in Indigenous communities. Back to what Lori was saying about customizing workshops, I was speaking yesterday. We have an elder that works formally with us to give guidance on our journey on reconciliation, and even customizing, for example, a trauma-informed care from an Indigenous perspective. So she's working on that to make sure that fit is ideal for it's a national Indigenous organization. Yeah, and I mean, and it's always sort of a balancing act, because we need to have everything we do on the clinical end grounded in best practice, promising practices, research. So we have a bit of that Western lens that also then gets married in to different and unique approaches and other traditions and authorities. So that's always part of the journey, and it's a communication, it's a relationship that we have along the way. So that's fundamental to everything we do. And I think that's actually a good way of closing, is on that relationship. Nothing happens outside of relationship, we believe. All treatment, connection, growth, that's so fundamental to our healing journeys. So that is actually also within all of our trainings. And I think no matter how complex sometimes some of the challenges that we get, that we're faced with, through relationship, we can find strength, we can learn, we can support as well. There can be a mutuality, and there's so much potential.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Those are all great information. And thank you again for being here. We'll make sure to add any additional information and the links and the resources you guys mentioned in the description below. And yeah, thank you, Nathan and Lori from CTRI. And take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Wonderful talking to you. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.